Last week, we had Sheath Underwear's Robert Patton on the show to tell the story of how he was serving our country over in the Iraqi desert and came up with the idea for the pouch technology in his underwear. Literally cutting up fabric and showing it to their tailors out there and said, hey, make this for me. It was a really amazing story. I highly recommend you go check it out so you can see how this underwear was created. I know I joke around a lot on the podcast about it, but it really has changed my life. It's the only underwear I use now. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use our promo code RRBG, and save 20%, and say goodbye to bunched up boxers and horrible fabrics that'll only irritate you even further.
Yeah, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. This building is the people who run this building, there's so much crazy shit going on here that, that was the breaking point, was that shit. But
What area of LA are you in? Like, you don't have to give me an address, obviously. This is going out to the world, so.
I'm just in Hollywood, you know?
Hollywood? Yeah, it is. I just moved up here. I'm in La Brea. I'm in by the tar pits.
Right on.
Yeah, and I was in Long Beach for a couple years, and man, I just needed to get out of there. That was rough.
Yeah. So what's up? Where are you from originally?
So I was born in New Jersey, and I grew up there till I was about 15.
Yeah.
And then I left New Jersey and went to Miami. And then I lived in Miami from age 15 to about 38, 36. I forget how long. I've been here in LA now for 4 years. And I'm turning 40 in November. So
right on.
I guess 36. I was 30 from 15 to 36 was Miami. So there's a lot of Miami inside of me.
Gotcha.
It's part of my culture. I got some of that Cuban sauce,
Absolutely,
whatever.
Man. do you miss Miami ever? Are you like a Heat fan, or what's going on? Are you a Marlins? You a Dolphins fan? None of that's no sports. Just like
I mean, I like sports.
What about Two Live Crew, dude? Come on,
yeah. Two Live Crew, booty music is a big deal down there. A lot of noise and booty music down there, like Otto von Schirach's down there, and it's been, look, it has its charm. It was awesome. I had a blast. Let me tell you, all 20 years, whatever it was, but it comes a time in life when I had to make choices of like, well, something needs to change or I'm going to die. This is nuts. Miami is the Wild West. Like, it's pure chaos.
Yeah.
And I saw what was going on over there during the pandemic, and I'm just like, guys, you realize?
Yeah.
They're just like, no, we don't give a fuck. All my friends were like, oh, you miss concerts? You should come to Florida. I'm like, what? I'm not. Yeah. I don't want to go. I'm sorry. I'll stay away from that. But I do appreciate my time there for sure.
So like, what made you like specific? Was there something specific that made you want to move to LA? Like when you decided to do that?
Well, I had for years, I was in a band. So I, for years, was trying to get the band out of there, because it's a long drive to hit any other states. You know what I mean? If we're going to tour, it's start from the bottom. It's like, that's 8 hours just to get out of the state. Like,
but then again, there's at least in my time, there was so many bands from there that it was like, what kind of music were you get? What kind of stuff did you guys play?
It was a mix. Like, we had some heavy songs that were, hardcore-ish, like an Every Time I Die, or Dillinger-ish even, like, time signatures, and but there were also songs that were just like ballads, or progressive ballads. Like, it was weird. We had a very divided audience.
What did you play, or what did you do in the band?
I sang and played keyboards, and I would like run samples and just like random noises. I'd grab a acoustic guitar out and do stuff sometimes. Like, it was very interesting. I don't know. We were just trying to have fun, and it actually worked. So people like, we had a really decent following in Florida. That was about it. Like, after that, outside of Florida, we toured a few times, and it was always chaos. Cars breaking down. Like, I lost my car. I traded my car in for a van, and then we left to tour on that van, and the van blew up on the third date of the tour. I woke up from a nap like, hey guys, what's that smoke?
And the other thing, it's like the bands that were like, being from Miami is different than being from Gainesville, or like, it's like you said, you're way down there. It's like a lot of bands like just don't go there. Like, I want to say you mentioned like I even remember there was like a tour the times that my old bands would play with, we were like touring with Dillinger, and we would just skip. You would skip like, or when we were even when my band was on tour with Cave-In, we skipped Miami. You do like you go as far as like Orlando, something like that, and then you just turn around because it's like.
It was fun. It was good though, man. For me as a fan, it was good because you know, it was a trip. Like, hey guys, we're gonna go see, you know, Nine Inch Nails, whatever. But we have to drive. It's a 4 or 5 hour drive. So get your shit together. You know, like let's get get extra shirts or something, whatever we need. But like maybe we crash in a parking lot and then drive back in the morning. Whatever happens. But like let's go see the show. So it was like a trip. It was exciting at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it also kind of sucks because it was tradition to just say like bands don't go to Florida, like to Miami. Bands don't drive here. There's no shows, and so for a small independent like metal band that's trying to do something weird or crazy that's not hip hop or salsa or whatever, reggaeton, like you struggle. There's a small audience and it's yours, but you have to grow it. Like there's no one's coming to help you.
And that's what always completely blew my mind about like Miami, as far as like whatever you want to call it, underground, heavy, whatever, metal, punk, whatever the fuck. There's so much of it down, from like everything from like 6 Feet Under to hot water music to
Poison the Well.
Absolutely, right? Like, and it's that you would just assume that Miami. It's like, oh, Miami, that's the biggest. So it's going to be and then every time you get there, you'd be like, what? Yeah, what a bummer for the people, On one hand, though, that's why. But if you wanted to like check out some like cool hip hop shit, like if you're looking for different kinds of records and stuff, but like stuff that was associated with guitars and live instruments was like just non-existent in Miami for the most part, right? Except obviously,
Yeah, it would be a lot of hip hop and which is fine. I mean, it's cool. It's part of my life. It's I love hip hop. So it's part of my culture too.
Absolutely.
But I feel like I connect more when it like to metal or rock or anything guitar oriented. I definitely lean more into that direction. But I loved having to make those trips, but I also loved trying to cultivate a scene down there when we were there because it wasn't.
There you go, yeah.
There, it's cool. Like there's a brotherhood with certain bands. Like 4 or 5 bands always end up playing together, or going on a little tour together, up and down, and it's fun. That's great. But I wanted to come to LA because it just, to me, always growing up, and maybe it's cheesy, but this is part of growing up Latino is. Like I grew up thinking Hollywood is the place to be. Like you if you want to make it, you want to do something with your life, you got to either be in Hollywood or New York,
right?
Not Miami. That's not where. Especially if you're in a metal band or like some of those bands break free. But out of how many Florida bands that you mentioned, like what do we got? 20, say 20, 30, even just to be generous. There are thousands of bands in Florida. Only 30 of them made it. Like it's a rough trip where like. In LA, there's more opportunity. There's more venues. There's radio stations that play rock. Because in South Florida, Miami, there's no rock station at all. They used to have Zeta. Zeta was cool because they would have these big festivals, Zeta Fest or Halloweeny Roast, or I forget the other ones that they have. Come on, I Want to Lay a Luau was a good one.
Yeah.
But it was always Rob Zombie headlining, and then like Godsmack, Stained, maybe Disturbed. Like the big names were doing those shows, and there was no like local presence there.
That's the other thing that trips me out too. Because like just if you're like, so you're about 5 years, you're about a half decade younger than I am, right? When it's like just the fact that like
how old are you?
I'm 42.
Okay.
Well, no, you're a couple years. You're a couple years, but
I'm turning 40 in November.
Even that. Okay, just those 2 years though.
Yeah, like stuff changes for sure.
I like fucking just totally like to this day I've never heard like like the one like those a lot of those bands that were kind of coming in. It's like well part of that had to do that some of those people involved tried to beat me up and sue me and shit too, but it just wasn't on my radar, I guess. It's like just like how like I'm sure when you were busiest with your band, like sometimes you're just not paying attention as much, like to maybe what's going on. I don't know,
if you're doing the work, like if you're working, man, you're not really, you're too busy working to be paying attention to what's going on.
And what's weird is like that's like I admit, like, so I'm seventh generation California. I'm sixth generation Californian born, and
Nice.
I'm a fourth generation Angelino. So, which is
Nice.
really strange for a white dude, especially a dude as white as me. You know, it's like,
Do you
but
speak good Spanish?
I I'm okay. Like I can speak. You know, I can understand. You know,
Okay.
but
Like
some
how
it's,
what tier are we talking? Like you can order food or like have a conversation? Like or
like having a conversation. I can think and express myself, but I can't
okay.
have a you know, if I have to be like, how do I say whatever? You know,
Okay, yeah. Okay.
you know, that kind. Or but some things come quicker than others. You know, it's like, yeah, muy pequeño.
Okay. It's weird how the brain works, man, cuz I learned English.
Yeah,
It wasn't my native language. So
yeah,
and I learned it from police academy movies.
yeah. There you go.
But I just, it's weird how it works that it weirds me out. I also do, I've done a lot of shrooms and stuff, but like I overanalyze the fact that I can process two languages and how,
Yeah.
it's a weird fucking thing.
Well,
I
it's
can't
strange
explain it.
when you like you think about things like, do you dream in English or do you dream in Spanish? You know, it's probably Spanish.
Yeah, no, I dream in
Dream
English
both?
most of the time. Most of
Oh,
the time in
English.
English. Yeah, it's weird.
That is
I
weird.
definitely identify as American. I guess
Yeah.
I also so it's funny that we were talking about South Florida. I don't know how far touring wise you've gone south. Like, have you gone all the way to the Keys?
Nah.
Okay, so like
I mean, I've been there, but not as a touring band or anything. Yeah.
so south of Miami, like you got this chunk of land,
Yeah.
and then at the end of that land is the Keys.
Yeah.
But like right here in like the very bottom of this land before you hit the Keys, it's like redneck country.
Yeah.
It's so
Absolutely.
crazy. Like and that's where my band was from. So like the first time I met my band, they were in a fucking trailer in the middle of like not a trailer, but like a garage jamming in the middle of the fucking woods.
Crazy.
It was fucking crazy. I'm like, what is happening? I love this. And then that became like part of my life, this like weird southern American mentality, but inside of Miami and like South Florida, which is just kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like I guess it's weird just having lived, like, I grew up from here, born here, lived here my whole life. Like, yeah, I guess maybe there's certain things you take for granted, but also at the same time, it's like, yeah, it always seemed, just because there was always a lot of bands and stuff here, like, it's just like anything. It's like a lot
Is
of
it
them.
oversaturated? Really? Like,
Well,
is
I
that
don't
a
think
feeling?
not with good bands or good
Okay.
music. I don't think it ever is. But I think there's just so many fucking like, for me, like, because I grew up in the South Bay, so I like Redondo Beach, like Torrance, that kind of stuff. Like, I grew up at like in the '90s, like even post Nirvana, it was still just like this Sunset Hollywood was for music. It was still pay to play and that kind of bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
then what's funny, like things with like say like stand-up comedy, like I missed that like real '90s boom. So when I moved out here, like right after high school, it was like when I go to like you go to the Comedy Store and it would just rooms would just be dark, you know, like they would have the main room just shut down for the whole week.
Yeah.
And like maybe open it on the weekend. It was like no one gave a fuck. But then like with music stuff, like in the mid '90s, it was absolutely its boom. That's like I started how I made a lot of money, and that's how I bought my band's first van, was like being a show promoter and putting on shows, because you could put a show on and 2,000 kids would show up, you know. So
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that doesn't mean that all those bands are worthwhile. You know, it's like where I was coming from, it was a lot of like really, really bad like jock rock shit. You know, like dudes in board shorts, like you know, like that, like
Puka shell necklaces.
the melodic pop punk stuff,
Yeah.
like tough. But it was like a bunch of tough guy, not, you know, it's like, and it was like cookie cutter, you know. And then you go
Yeah.
another way. It's like with everything, you know, most of it's bad, but there was a lot of good stuff too. But Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
I
my
mean, I've found some really interesting little, like, there's secrets here in LA, and that's something that I really like. Like,
yeah,
you go to Miami, there's no secrets. Like, there's the beach, and then there's the one rock bar, which is where we would
yeah,
play, Churchill's. But
yeah,
here in LA, like, I hear shit all the time, like, underground shows, people's backyards, and
yeah.
like, even like there's a secret like street somewhere in downtown LA where you can go get that's like street food, and it's like they've taken over this entire like 2 block rate. Like there's no law there. The cops just drive by slowly, like making sure people are okay. And it's like, but
Yeah.
this isn't like these are just street vendors. They're just people making tacos, and it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
like, and like somebody, I guess somebody in TikTok or something went and like
Yeah.
now it's tripled in size. Like now
Huh.
it's this fucking circus now
Yeah.
when you go down there. But it's interesting when you hear about these little underground things in LA. It's one of the reasons I've stayed and especially the Comedy Store. Now that it's
Yeah.
it had like a peak moment not too long ago, and then now everybody left to Texas or wherever they're going. Now I feel like there is going to be a new wave of comedians and
Yeah.
standard bearers here in the scene for LA.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's inevitable. Just like because what's interesting about this particular comedy boom, or that was either just happening, or who knows, because the COVID thing kind of screwed a lot of stuff up. But like I don't think people realize too, even people involved with like stand up and stuff, like how huge like it's massive in LA. Like it's like, and the only thing I can equate it to is like how punk rock was in the mid '90s, where it's like I could put on a punk show, 2,000 kids would show up. Didn't even matter who was on the bill, right? Like you've got it any like night of the week. There's 20 or 30 shows happening, like everywhere, and it's pretty incredible. It's and the Comedy Store now and the Improv are like people lined out, every day of the week, all that kind of stuff. So
Really?
it's interesting. I mean, it's getting more interesting all the time. And and then also like strange things that are like post COVID, like right now it's kind of like, well, where can you do a show and who's even left around? Because some people moved back to Nebrahoma or whatever the fuck, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's exciting and interesting to it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was having this chat with Jeff, my buddy Jeff from Poison the Well yesterday, and we were talking about how going on the road now, a lot of bands are kind of hesitant. They're kind of like, well, we don't want to be the first band to do it,
Right.
and so everybody's there's like this weird tension, and like everybody's pulling back, and well, we're gonna do tours, but we're not gonna hit LA because LA is still kind of closed. So now they're now it's funny when I was in Florida, it was like, hey, no bands come to Miami. Now I'm in LA, and I was like, oh, cool, no bands are coming to LA because of the fucking pandemic too. It's for a different reason now.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel for my friends and stuff who are musicians, because especially if it's like, at least the way I did it when I was, playing music, was I didn't really know how to like not do it at 11 all the time. I mean, like if I wasn't, in rehearsal or practice with the band or whatever, it was like I was at home writing songs, or I was in a studio recording this, or I was doing something like, I also had my own record label and all that kind of, so it was like, constantly something with the band, right? It's like, so to go from that with like, especially because everything at that time, what we did was geared around touring and stuff, where it was like, making sure you had enough. He didn't sell merch online. It was, you packed it up in the van and stuff. So all that kind of stuff, to imagine what it would have been like if someone would have told us, like, you got to park it. You can't do this. Yeah, it screws you up,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, bigger bands that had like maybe put some money away, like they did okay during this time, but there's a lot of medium-sized bands, even to some sort of large bands that just, were living paycheck to paycheck. And if your paycheck goes away, then what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
It's nuts. I got real lucky that like I got a nice decent job that when everything hit, they were like, you can keep working from home. I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that. Can we keep doing that even after? Because I'll be more productive if I can be home more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that one of the things? Did you want to be home more? Is that one of the reasons maybe that you stopped doing music altogether? Like you just got tired of the grind?
I mean, I don't feel like I stopped music altogether. Well, I guess I did in for a while, but that wasn't really and it hasn't really been my intention. I know some people, I get that some people are under the impression that maybe like I took all my music equipment and stacked it in a field and like lit it all on fire or something, and I don't like music or listen. No, absolutely not. I just a lot of it was like, honestly, like the difference between music and stand up is I don't have to like coordinate with 4 other people or get their opinion or their take or consider any of their, it's like
it's all you.
Yeah. Not only is it just like whatever I'm thinking or whatever, it's like I don't got to show up with a bunch of equipment. I got, like just as being in a band, just hauling that shit around, man, like loading it in and loading it out. It's like, especially the older you get, it's just like, and in my day it was, dude, I noticed this kind of stuff recently. I was working as a sound man at that place, 5-Star Bar downtown, and like touring band, just noticing how bands don't tour with the size of gear that they used to. Bands have like little pedal boards and little combo amps, but like no one's doing it like bands I would like, where it's like, no, like if your bass is at 8x10, guitar cabs are at least 412s, I would have at least another combo amp, like, and it's like a lot of stuff moving in and out, and that just sucks. It screws. It's just like yeah.
You need a tech. Yeah, so that's all. You need your own personal guy.
Right. I mean, exactly.
You.
That's what made like playing in Nails like it feel like a vacation, because when you don't have to think or do any of that stuff or even put strings on your guitar.
Yeah, just walk over. You just got to walk over and grab a new one.
Absolutely, right. It's like it's a different world. But I just I like not having to think about that kind of stuff anymore, because I'm also like, I'm obsessive compulsive and like about it can be good and it can be bad. It's like that's what makes me chase for guitar stuff, like specific sounds or tones, but it's like that means it's got to go from this thing to this thing, it's like a specific way, and if one little thing is off, or it's like it makes me lose my fucking mind, so it's like to be able to just show up somewhere, it's like no sound, it's just like and I for my own like I do a comedy show right now that I put on out in Pomona, where it's like I bring my own PA and stuff. It's like,
is that the Whenever show?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's just like there's nothing more, just having to just do something where it's just one microphone.
One microphone, one speaker, maybe.
Yeah. So
one light, maybe, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's different. It's different. I still appreciate live music and stuff, but it's like
I it was funny. Apart from being in the band, and obviously that is a regular struggle a lot of bands have, which is the van load in, but I also got to experience the like larger side of that. Like I got a job working at the arena doing stagehand stuff, and it was, hey, Aerosmith's in town with 24 18-wheelers. Excuse me? Yeah, they bring their own washer and dryer, their own seamstress. They have plants and because they live on the road.
And the bigger band, dude, like the Stones, for example, not only do they have that, but they have, or U2 too, these types of bands, they have 2 or 3 sets of it, right? So it's like while they're setting up in the arena in Miami, it's like the second setup is going to set up in Orlando or whatever for the next night, and then they just keep, it's like
Guns N' Roses does that. I think they have a couple sets for sure.
Yeah, well, it's like, dude, when I was in Nails, I used at least, dude, I was touring with about 40 plus guitars, and I had to have 20 guitars for a single show, because it was like
it was a guitar. Was it a guitar per song, kind of?
Pretty much
Yeah.
most of the time, or we would set up the set list too in ways so that it would be like I didn't have to do that. But when all the songs are like in crazy different tunings, because the way that dude writes the songs, he's not thinking about how is this gonna. So it's like, well, then you got to have a guitar in standard, you got to have it down half a step, you got to have down full step, you got to have drop D, you got to have ostrich tuning, you got to have open G, like. That doesn't count the acoustic guitars, the slide guitars, it's like, and then things like there's songs that need a humbucker. So I've still got, need this Les Paul, or if it's a fucking, something with you gotta have a Strat or single coil. So it's just like,
Yeah.
and for my tech, you gotta have a backup for every single thing too, because you gotta have
The tech needs an assistant at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. And then considering that he had to fix whatever I broke the night before, which would be, if I, put the neck of a guitar through the speaker cone, now he's got to change out a speaker cone. Yeah, so it's like you got to have a backup for every guitar. And then on top of that, I found out this recently. This is kind of strange. Like this dude was telling me, because I don't see people in like music. I don't talk to people at any of the companies that make the gear shit anymore. But like this, I ran to this dude from Fender, and he was telling me something to the effect that like, he's like, pretty sure that I'm like, no one in the entire world has broken more Fender guitars than I have. That sounds strange, because it's like I would have we had semi trucks, right? Yeah. And I would break probably a couple guitars a night, but I'm not breaking my 72 Gold Top, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you get the like cheaper guitars, it's like to do that stuff, but it's like, so we would have literally just them, and we would buy hundreds of them at a time, and they would sit in the back of the semi, and then like, he would like, string them up, and then it's like, but I went through hundreds of those things, but
that's a worthy investment, right? I would think. I mean, it's all for the show.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Well,
if that was missing, the show would be kind of like, well, maybe they had an off night. You know what I mean? If you
people always got weird about like, or some people get bummed out about instrument stuff, but breaking stuff. But like the way there's a certain sound. If you're like, I never used like modeling amps, or like, I use tube amps and all that kind of stuff. I turn the amps up really loud, and there's sounds that happen when the sound of a guitar being smashed, or the sound of a guitar hitting something like a mic stand or something that is just awesome, right? Like that you can't make without literally destroying the thing. So I would just always have those beater guitars around, to lean into on certain songs, and it's really fun to break stuff, and it's fun. The sound of something that's as loud as a fucking jet engine when you're, it's there's nothing more fun than that. But
there is an art form to it. For people that are less educated in music, a band that's, a noise core band or something that's feedback heavy, like it doesn't make sense to them. I try showing it to some of my old like Cuban friends from high school, and they're just like, "What's wrong with your brain?" I'm like, I don't know. But feedback is awesome, and if you can master it like the way you've done, it's insane. It's a good thing to play with.
I mean, it's there's good feedback and there's bad feedback. There's people,
of course,
it's the squeak, and it's like, and it's like the type of, like, if I was trying to make weird sounds and stuff, it was always in the context of with an incredible band and incredible musicians happening at the same time. It's like the idea of me doing or making those kind of sounds on my own is pretty ridiculous, and I don't know if I definitely wouldn't want to listen to that, and nobody else would either. But breaking stuff's fun.
Yeah, breaking stuff is fun for sure. So what's the focus now for you? Like just comedy? Like what are you doing on an everyday basis? Like what are you working on?
Yeah, like stand-up stuff, like with I'm 42 years old, it's like my like my approach or what my opinion on stand-up stuff is completely different than 99.9% of the other people that are here, because it's like the majority, I couldn't be more of an outsider, because the overwhelming majority of everyone that's here in comedy, they're not from here, you know. It's
Right.
like, and a lot of them, and this might sound shitty or whatever, but for lack of a better way to explain it, like, you know, they're here to be famous, and they're like, I don't, you know, whether or not it goes well or doesn't, I'm still going to be living here, because this is where I've always, you know, it's like,
Right.
I'm not, so it's like, I'm surrounded by people who also are like, they all know each other, because a lot of them, you know, see each other every day, because when they're trying to get, you know, cast in a commercial or whatever. That, like, I've never had a headshot, you know. I've never auditioned for anything in my entire fucking life, you know. It's like, it's just not, it's like, and I'm not trying to be, I know it's confusing too for people who haven't, you know, haven't seen me do stand up and are only familiar with me through music stuff. Like, they think that maybe, like, it means that now I'm going to be this, I don't know, like this goofy, like, I'm not, you know, I'm not out there like to, like, you know,
You're not even slipping on a banana and throwing a guitar up in the air, like
those are the clown shit. Yeah, I'm not doing some Carrot Top. I'm not doing sight gags. I'm not talking in a weird voice. It's like, I just tell
It's stand-up.
stories or talk, and if people like it, cool. And if they don't, that's one of the things that's also interesting about stand-up being so big in LA right now. Is like, I probably couldn't do what I'm doing under any other circumstance in any other place, right? Where it's like, it's so big here right now that they can have a dude, like, I'm still even great, like, dude, I have my own show, and I still have to think some, like, these antiquated terms, like, you know, who's the host, who's the feature, who's the head, like, all this shit that's like, I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I think about it, is it really important? What, like, that kind of stuff, like, yeah,
I guess
anyway.
it all depends. It all depends on where you want to go with it. So, like,
right.
if you want it to be this big, you know, if you want the Whenever Show to be this, like, humongous thing,
Right.
then you got to figure out what the feature is, or who's the feature, who's going to feature tonight. Like,
Well, I mean,
who's going to host, who's going to be there making jokes in between the comedians, like,
absolutely,
absolutely.
and the guy I do the show with, Patrick, does a good job at hosting, and we do pretty good at, like, booking and stuff. But again, if we were trying to do this anywhere but New York or LA, it would be impossible, like, especially right now. But, like, but because stuff is so big, right? Like, things like the Dynasty typewriter that's happened, like, places where it's like, you know, the old idea of what even seeing live stand-up, what that even means to people. Because to a lot of people, it's not good. You know, I think a lot of people, it's like their experience with stand-up is, you go to this place where it's really expensive to park, and then to get in, and then you got to buy this shitty food or
2-drink minimum,
or a 2-drink that's way overpriced, and then they gouge you, and you see a bunch of shit that was like whatever, and then you're like, fuck this, right? Just the idea of, like, that I don't think stand-up really hasn't had its, like, Sex Pistols moment really yet, you know, where it's like, you know, people starting to, like, move as an art form, move it forward. Part of that is the shows, like, just the old, like, I'm sensitive to it because I do my own show and stuff, and you know, just looking at the way people make flyers and shit is retarded. Just the, you know, or the way they talk about it is just, it's so antiquated and boring, you know, for no reason, when it's like, dude, like, the fact that people are finally just doing shows where it looks like the flyers look like, as they should, like a music show, right? Where it's like just the names of who's going to be there, the time, the place, that kind of stuff. I don't need this guy's fucking photo of him trying to look bad at whatever, and like 9 credits of a bunch of shit. No one gives a fuck, right? Or like,
but he was on HBO, man.
Who fucking, right? It's like, is there anybody who's gonna accidentally see that flyer and be like, "Oh shit, I wasn't doing anything tonight, but this guy in HBO is gonna be in Burbank, so I'm gonna like, nobody."
The home box office, man.
Right.
Let's go.
Like, all of these things that are just like these that's what's cool about right now is it's like you're seeing like people are starting to just like
You can do your own thing here, which I really enjoy.
yeah
That's one
yeah
of the reasons I'm happy that I'm here, because thanks to just being here, I'm able to do this show.
yeah
Thanks to
yeah
just being there. Like that.
yeah.
That's one thing that my friends are always like, you know, why LA, bro? It's so expensive. I'm like, because you need to be here.
Dude, it's like, dude, you know what it is? Like it's because I think comics, I know this is all the time too, because being older, it's like, I'm looking at these younger comics and some of these younger comics are incredible. Like, and it's like, fuck man, but they just don't even they think they're taking it for granted. Cause it's like, dude, you think this is normal or, you know what I'm saying? Like that this is just, or that it's going to last forever. When it's like, this is really special. It's like, dude, this is like, LA for stand up right now is like, you know, San Francisco in the heat in like 67 or like Paris in the 20s or something, you know what I'm saying, like that or it's like,
and it's also kind of got like, because of the whole shift over to Texas, because now Rogan and all his folks are in Texas, and they're building another scene over there. They have left this vacuum in the LA, like the major part of LA, like the store. Now the store's hungry for shows. Now the store's like, we need something to happen because everyone's gone.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very interesting time in comedy. I'm actually, you know, I'm fairly involved in trying to get a show at the store right now. So,
right.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be live there or just kind of like from their studios.
Yeah.
So, there's a magical presence at the store because I'm not from here, and I'm the guy that you know came to LA to try and make it. But my make it is way lower of a bar than most of the fucking people.
Yeah, like when I
making it is having my own apartment. That's it.
Yeah.
That's my making it.
Most of the people, when I say those types of things, and again, it's like I feel bad because it's like it's a black and white thing, but yeah, I'm talking of the people who, and I guess I take this shit kind of personally as someone who's from here. It's like I absolutely resent, you know, to a degree, people's perception of what it is, what's going on here, and or what it means to, or whatever the fuck, but like type of stuff where it's like, you know, people who are doing, you know, yoga with goats and eating avocado toast, you know what I'm saying? It's like that has nothing to do with that. The people who are doing that, the only people who do that kind of shit are the people who are from Nebrahoma or whatever, and they move here and they're trying to assimilate. So now they do that so that they can like call themselves a California or something. When it's like, dude, no Californians are doing that shit. It's just all you weirdos from fucking Idaho and nowhere coming here. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, dude. You know, there's nothing more offensive to me as a Cuban from Miami to come here to LA and get charged $14 for avocado toast.
Right.
The food that we would eat in Cuba when we were starving because there was nothing else. You had to go climb a tree and get an avocado and get some bread and that was like, well, I guess this is what I'm eating.
Yeah.
$14.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't take it, man. Like I fuck you. I'll go buy an avocado and do it myself. Jesus.
The only thing that gets hard for me with the Comedy Store a lot of time is that like
there is a douchey presence for sure.
There's just so many. But it's the same with like, I guess if you ever want to see some crazy freak show shit that you'll never forget for the rest of your life, you know, just go to watch the open mic they do at fucking the club down the street from fucking Comedy Store. Holy shit, shows you how early.
Laugh Factory.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Have you ever been to the Laugh Factory fucking open mic, the ones where people line up and it's like, if you want to just see the like, that's the drawback or the bummer about the LA thing is like you're getting, and I think the Comedy Store kind of gets the brunt of that, where they're getting, you know, the most you're getting the best, you know, the best of the best as far as comics and stuff, but then you're also getting the absolute most delusional, fucking desperate people that are trying to check it out or get the, you know, it's like, and that it's just grating, you know. It's like it's
Oh
like
yeah, I see it all the time because there's a show that I would go to every Monday there, Kill Tony show with Tony Hinchcliffe.
yeah,
And you know, you see people they give you the opportunity to just put your name in a bucket and they pull your name out, you know.
yeah,
And if you see people, they put their name in there just so they can be like, hey, by the way, you know Joe Rogan, right? If you could give him my CD, it's like, whoa, what?
no, I did because yeah, it's Mondays, right? And they do the potluck, and
Potluck,
they do
yep.
his show at the same time. And
Yeah.
I've seen that dude stand up. Is it that Tony Hinchcliffe? I like his stand up. It's something that he filmed at the Ice House or something. But like, for me, like, again, maybe I don't have much of it. The only thing that I've ever seen of the Kill Tony show is people that are crazy, delusional, fucking psychopaths. Like, and then
It's a little bit of the magic of the show, though, for me anyway. I know maybe I'm watching it for the wrong reason because I'm watching it and I'm like, it makes me. My brain is broken, so I also, when I get hurt, I laugh. So that's like a natural thing. I learned it when I was very little, where I think, you know, when I would fall or something, my parents would laugh. Yeah. So that I would laugh. So now when I experience pain, I just laugh. And so watching these dudes up there, it's so cringy. It's like, and then like my insides hurt, but it makes me laugh. So because it's my natural reaction to just laugh at pain. Yeah.
So, I guess I just get too much of it in real life that it's never, you know, it's like,
it's not for everyone for sure. Yeah.
I know that there's a couple people, associated with it or whatever that I really like. I know like Jessie Johnson, isn't she?
Oh, she rules. Yeah. Jessie Johnson.
She's great. Yeah. Like,
and Jeremiah Watkins is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to take both of Jeremiah and Jetski. I took them to DJ Lethal's place so they could just jam with him for a couple of days, and like not a couple of days, but like jamming us like a couple songs. And it was a great night. But those songs never came out. Like I don't know where they are, so I can't like promote it or be like, "Hey, this happened."
Is this the same DJ Lethal guy? That the House of Pain guy or the
House of Pain, Limp Bizkit?
Yeah. So I have an interesting. So
tell me, please.
Well, this is like 15 years ago or whatever, but okay. I've been sued by some people in the Limp Bizkit.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Physically threatened back in the day. They didn't like my they didn't like whatever they had to say. They didn't like what I had my opinion on their band, I guess. But so that Lethal guy though, a friend of ours had a show on Power 106 that was like, I want to say maybe once a week. It was like a rock show on Power 106, right? And it was him and DJ Lethal were the two like hosts or whatever. And we were like, me and my friend were listening, and it was like Fred Durst had said something to the effect that he was gonna beat us up when he saw us and shit, all this weird.
Yeah, I remember
shit.
There was a beef between Nine Inch Nails and Limp Bizkit.
For me, it was like it goes like to the night before that. Before I was associated with Nails and stuff, it just kept getting weird and weird. And then like they were said something on the air, and our friend was saying something to him. He's like, well, yeah, I know those guys. They're not that bad. So we called in, and then it kind of got weird. And he was like, well, why don't you guys like come down here then? So we did. And then it was cool because it was, I guess, but like, it was just like, he seemed nice enough. He was like, oh, I didn't think you guys were going to actually show up. And like, okay, like, or whatever, you know, but, he's the only, he's
anyway. Cool. I mean, again, he's a character.
And trust me, I'm trying to. I want to tell the more interesting part of that story because that like, but I can't because it involves. Yeah, I've probably been sued probably a dozen times. You know.
Jeez.
Yeah, I got sued for $1 million a couple times.
Wow. Fuck. Just for saying things or for breaking things? For either slander or libel, but that's like, or other things. But when it's like, I was a music journalist, I wrote reviews. So it's like, if I gave your band a bad review, that's your opinion.
I slandered you. I guess it depends on, you know, Courtney Love, but then Courtney Love is another one where Courtney Love sued us, but then after we like talked to her, then we're friends. So then she takes my band on tour, and it's it's like that's whatever. But like, or like, but see, I the first job I ever got was when I was 14 for a local newspaper as a I had to lie about my age and shit, but I told them I was 16. But anyway, like I did a review. Yeah, I did a Pennywise record review. Mm-hmm. This is like in the 90s. I got like written death threats. They like came in the mail, like in handwriting and stuff. And I was 14. Like
that's
so. But I thought it was funny too. At the same, it was like fuck, man. If like you are so mad that I don't, it's like I said, I've never. I'm trying to think of the interactions I've ever had with. Oh, one time, dude. So when I first joined Nails, we played one of our first shows we played was in Vegas, and me and Trent were going to do something. I don't know, and we got in the elevator, and like Fred Durst was in it, and this was like at the height of him saying like, "I'm gonna fucking fuck you all, be whatever the fuck," and we just walked in, and like and he just like fucking put his head down and didn't say anything. It was bizarre. Anyway.
Well, maybe it was. Look, man, the guy was involved with the WWE, right? So
I don't know. Like, was he?
He was. He performed at like one of their shows, but like maybe he was pretending to be like a pro wrestler, like talk trash on the. Let me tell you something, brother.
Okay, well, there's another time I read. So actually, when it was the worst it was with that dude was when there was a time where my band was playing at South by Southwest in Texas, and he had sent these dudes because he was the vice president of Interscope at that time.
Yeah.
And the president was I won't mention his name, but he was probably even a bigger dick. Anyway,
that's fun.
They sent a bunch of dudes. It was scary. Like they sent a bunch of dudes to our show to like basically beat us up and shit. Like they were throwing like C batteries and shit.
What?
In the balcony, like crazy shit, right? And then because of that, and then like I lost my mind because I didn't want to be there, and then
no shit. Who would want to be there? But, that's kind of ridiculous, man. That's like mafia shit. That was a interesting time. That was like crazy time music. Why? I mean, music is to me, it's always, I love music, obviously. It's part of my life. But the music industry, the music business has always been so fascinating to me because like it seems so evil.
Yeah.
There's like such crazy shit going on over there. And I don't understand it. Oh, I don't understand the decisions. Like
that's
really?
why I think that's like a lot of musicians right now. It's like it's like be careful what you wish for. Like the whole thing I was basically like writing about or shouting about ever since I started my own labels and stuff or started writing was how fucked up the music industry was, and just God, wouldn't it be great if the thing just fucking crumbled and into nothing and burnt to the ground. And then it did, it's like, and now it's gone or for the most part. So it's like, now what, it's like, so I think it's, I think it's great. It's like, I think it's funny because the film, TV and film haven't gone through that fucking thing, where music, where it's like, dude, I think of how much more money I would have had, all that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's great, it's like, because it was shitty. It was like, for every decent band, there was, it was nonsense. And I saw it from both sides too, where it would be like, because I was a writer, music journalist, whatever you want to call it. The A&R people, like before even my old band was signed to a major label or whatever too, it was like, they would want to pick my brain about what was going on. So they'd take you out to like a lunch where it's like, oh, order anything you want. And it's where it's just like, dude, like a $400 or $500 lunch. You know what I'm saying? When it's like, dude, what? This is broken. And then they let you back to the office, and then they let you in the closet, with all the promos and stuff. And I get a box, and I'm just like, which is how I paid my rent for years,
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, well, you guys just spent about $1,000, $2,000 just to like what, to hear what my opinion wasn't like, while like, it's like you won't even make this new band that you just signed, you won't even give them a budget to tour, but you're gonna buy me a $500 lunch or something. It's like, this is retarded, it's in
corporate
gross.
decision, corporate mentality is rough, man.
Yeah.
It's not
so
good.
It's good that as it should. It should have died earlier, but it's good that it's gone, I think.
It's hard to, it's hard when a person is presented, I think, like my old boss I used to work at a brewery, and my old boss, started from nothing. And it was kind of like me too, where I'm like, I've done everything, the music and the show that we have now and everything else that I'm doing, like it's come from nothing, and he did the same thing and ended up making a brewery because he loved beer. He's like, I'm going to make a brewery, made the brewery, and then ended up selling the brewery for like $60 million, some ridiculous number. And it's like where do where's the corporate sellout line? You know what I mean? That's a tough decision. Like, where do you stop? Because obviously the punk rock mentality is like, do it yourself and fucking push against this bullshit that we're being fed, right? These shitty bands. Like I'm with you. I don't like naming bands too, because I don't like, everybody's got, I want to give everybody a shot, but also there is a lot of shitty music. I get a lot of emails with shitty music.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's another thing that happens too, just by being involved. This sounds shitty too, but like when you are a contemporary with someone, whether it's music or comedy, it's like, if it's comedy, it's like whoever you started up with or doing open mics with, you're always just going to see them as a fucking, even if they're great, maybe sometimes it's just like,
right,
or you might know like a weird, or had a weird thing. So it's like you're biased against it, right? So it's like the same thing happens with music too, where it's like, to this day, there's like bands, like that I've never even heard, but it's like, I'm like, oh, well, that's the band that we had to like play after at the whatever fest, and the bass player was a dick, so now it's like, fuck,
there's an association, right.
It's just like, when it's like, so that's why I've never heard whatever, that kind of stuff. It's just
it's interesting. First impressions are very important, man.
Absolutely.
I always try and like be myself, like just as calm and like, not, because that's the other thing. A lot of people in LA, they're so aggressive with their like what they call punishing. The fucking, they punish hard. Like they're standing, like they see say they run into like, a guitarist or a comedian somewhere. They just stand behind them, like waiting for their opportunity to say something, and, jump in and like, hey, so I saw you in Vegas, and like, dude, that's not the correct approach. I mean, it depends.
Absolutely.
You're going to freak them out. You're going to freak, the person out. Like, just be normal.
But at the same time, there's like this is another thing too that's kind of weird, that because it seemed like it went away in music for a while, where it was like, and it happens in comedy stuff now. Like, it's super prevalent, and it's just the way people act is so jive, like for no reason. Like, people are dicks to each other and shit for no reason. Like, that's my main problem with, again, and this is coming from someone who's a total outsider too, but with stand-up stuff, is people don't know how to act, so they're like default shitty. Like the culture is just kind of is fucked. It's like, and obviously this is beyond the Me Too stuff, where it's like, fuck, finally, it's like, good, fuck, man, like these dudes that were around that were just fucking clearly fucking weird creeps and shit. But it's just like that fucking comedy culture of like the comics not even watching the other comics ever, and then talking at the back of the room loudly to each other, and just whatever, like, and just the dumb guy. It's just so dumb. It's boring, and like, and I don't understand. And then the way that like comics are always like, it's like trying to act show busy or whatever for like, who fucking cares? It's like, dude, you're in a backyard. There's a fucking possum running across the wall, top of the wall, and you're back here warming up your voice for your fucking set in front of like what are you doing, dude? Like, just relax. You know what I'm saying? It's like, everybody's treating it like it's fucking Star Search all the time. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like,
well, because it's proven successful for some people, and that's all what most people need. They need to see like 2 or 3 success stories, and that's enough for them to be like, "Ooh, I can do that too."
I think that those people would have been successful anyway, just because maybe they were talented. You know, it's like, yeah, it's like, dude, I see this shit all the time where it's like you'll hear comics talking where it's like, well, who's, you know, is a booker here, is a whatever, someone, you know, important here. It's like, so what? So that, like, you're gonna do, like, if you're a band, it's like there's nothing like that in music where it's like, well, we'll play different types of songs for this, you know, like, I'm not gonna, but catering what you're gonna do on stage towards is so fucking jive, and it like, and I don't get it, you know. It's just like, and it's but it's one of those things, like I was saying, that like I feel like what is cool about comedy being so big, you're starting to see a lot of those kind of jiver, lame, fucking antiquated fucking attitudes start to disappear, thankfully, you know, which is cool.
Well,
so,
what the reason I'm even able to say that I'm trying to set something up at the store is, you know, the vacancy of some of the heads that were running that place. The two of the biggest names that were booking the talent and producing the fucking shows left. They left to Texas. So it's a whole new crew in there now. There's a whole new crew.
Things like, dude,
trying to change things up.
Piano player died, or, you know what I'm saying?
Jeff
like
Scott, right,
that kind of, where it's like, man, that dude was a sweetheart. Dude too. Anyway, but
I got lucky. I got lucky because of that. That meant, so thankfully I grew up amongst Cubans in Miami, like I mentioned at the top of the show. And one thing that Cubans do, and I recently found out the Vikings used to do this shit. They used to call it flighting, where they're like talk shit to each other back and forth. The Vikings would rhyme it, but but the Cubans don't rhyme it. They just kind of like talk shit back and forth. Yeah. And nobody takes it, you know, as a real legit hit. It's more of like laugh it off and then hit them back. It's roasting, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the whole culture between friends, it's not even about being on a show like, hey, let's do a roast battle. No, it's just, we're just on the phone like, hey bro, you know, your feet are smelly. Like, we'll just start something simple and hilarious, and then it keeps escalating. But that gave me the ability to, like, when I go to the store and these people are like around each other, roasting each other, being dicks to each other, I can just be a dick right back, and I don't care, because I'm not, I don't give a fuck how many shows you've done. So it's allowed me to kind of like make friends in the scene where I don't consider myself a comedian at all, but I love the scene. I'm such a fan of stand up, and ever since I was little, like George Carlin and fucking, you know,
dude, like, and as you know, like we've been talking about, like, that's one of the other things, like, like I'll talk to these younger comics, and sometimes it's like because everyone's so wrapped up in what they're doing, you know, it's like that. It's sometimes you just want to be like, dude, do you realize like what you're seeing right now? Like some of the stuff that's coming up, like whether it's like, like, dude, I could name a ton of names, and it's just like these people are destroying. You're seeing some shit that you're gonna be able to tell your grandkids that you saw so and so in a fucking backyard one day, or like whatever, or to like 5 people in the original room at like 1 o'clock or whatever, you know, and you saw like some sick shit. Like that's how good like everything is that's going. It's inspiring, you know. It's like, and it's like, it's really incredible to be around, and like and it's also like like you get your ass handed. Like I love just getting to made feel stupid and worthless by, like, you know, it's like Jesse's one of them. Like, you know, it's like I remember, I can't remember where last time I did a show where it's just like, holy fuck, you know, like when she's like playing her trumpet, and it's just like makes you want to like stop doing it ever again, because you're just like, holy, how did this kid, like, you know, that level of like, there's like all over the place.
It's just natural talent that's happening.
Yeah,
a lot of people have this natural, like she's got the instrument and her quick wit. Like, she was on Kill Tony for several months, so I would watch and see her every Monday, and it was like instant reactions. Like something would happen at that moment between, like, you know, the host and the guest, and then she would just pop in with like a joke out of nowhere. It was like improv. And there's just natural talent, like Jeremiah too, man. That dude just saxophone, fucking incredibly funny. He's got that like kind of goofy, like, you know, happy vibe, which I like. It's not super serious, because a lot of the comedy store comedians are super dark and everything, you know, is chaos and which is fine. I like that too. I'm not criticizing anybody's style. I'm just saying, like, I also enjoy every once in a while to just goof off, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why everything doesn't have to be so goddamn serious all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's why everyone loved like Brody, because like Brody Stevens, he would be like,
oh yeah, stay positive, man. The positive mental attitude.
Because that's one of the things that also happens is some of these shows that aren't, you know, on the strip or, you know, whatever, they can kind of take themselves a little too seriously and be a little too cool. And he would go out of his way to be like, fuck you, whatever. Like, you know, like, I'm gonna like just be goofy, and like now I'm playing bongos on the top of this whatever the fuck, and now I'm like, you know, like.
I used to love when he would go on a rant about how he was in the Hangover. I was in the Hangover.
Absolutely, right. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But like, but the fact that like that dude's an example of, like, dude, we would talk about baseball. I talked about baseball with that guy, but it's like, like the fact that like, he would still do. I could go, like, that dude was great. I mean, it really bummed me out too. His special that he made that came out right before he died is really, really good. Like, in my opinion, where it's like he clears the room. It's him at the Comedy Store in the main room, and he clears the fucking room. Like, and it's great. Who else would put that out? You know, of them just like, you know, like turning people away. You know, it's like. And it was I thought it was a bummer, because it was like he put that out, and I remember the types of like just the review. It got terrible. People were talking shit, and it bummed him out, you know. And it's like, I think people need to go find that and check it out, because it's just like, that's the kind of thing again that wouldn't happen at any other time. You know, these kind of, it's like an anti-special in a way, you know, or it's like or just, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like. Just there's so many people doing like really interesting things that are outside the box, and it's like, everything's moving forward is like an art form. It's like, so just to be close and see it, you know, and to be a part of it in any way is as you know, is like, it's rad, it's killer, and it's not happening anywhere else. Like, you know, it's like, because even what's going on in, say, like New York, it's not like, if, you know, I've always lived here. I'm a car culture person, so I like driving and stuff. And it's like, you could see 6 or 7 shows if you wanted to. And yet, not all of them are going to have people that are knocking out of the park, but every one of those shows will have at least a couple where you're like, holy shit, like, this is no joke, man. This is like real deal stuff. It's like,
yeah, New York is no cars. Nobody has cars. So you have to like walk or take a subway somewhere, you know?
Like, it's like if you want to get to a show in like Brooklyn or whatever, then you get, it's just not the same, you know? It's like, and New York's great in its own way, but it's just different. And then for whatever reason, what's happening here, it's just a little bigger, a little more amplified, and in my opinion, a little more interesting, which is really easy because I'm clearly biased and everything, but,
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we have recreational marijuana out here.
That definitely helps. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of high people in LA right now, and and now they're talking about legalizing mushrooms, which would be even crazier. I don't think we are. I mean, I've always thought in my head, like, I think an entire society on mushrooms would be incredible. Yeah. However, I don't ever see that happening. And now it's like, oh, wait, it's going to happen?
I mean, I think it's pretty close. Like, Portugal has their drug policy couldn't be more open, and it works. You know, it's like just the same way. Because I can't see once weed, with the mushroom thing, that's you know, it's like it's going to happen sooner than later, I think, you know, where Oregon
did the any like Coke and all the other ones too, right? They're like, it's fine. Like, that's a bit much. But
it's interesting. I mean, but here's the thing. It's like, if people are going to do what they want to do, whether it's illegal or not. You know, it's like, and if you take the illegal end out of it, then you're taking all the weird, crazy gangster, you know, shit out of it, and you're taking violence out of it. Hopefully, you know, people, you know, people want to kill each other, kill themselves. I mean, I'm sorry, can't kill each other, but if someone wants to kill themselves with drugs or whatever it is, it's like, I mean.
Well, it's hard, right? Because there's certain things that require drugs, like not require, I guess, but like, let's say not even as a recreational thing, just somebody gets in an accident or an injury, or, you know, even mental health medication, you know, can be, depending on what you're taking, can make you like catatonic. You know what I mean? I know people that just end up like, and just drooling all day. Like that's not, you know, I myself feel like you know, I definitely have some kind of mental issues that I deal with on a daily basis. But if I get on like the wrong medication and I fry it, like I'm gonna, that would be worse. You know, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe so. Mushrooms are something that I've done repeatedly, and every time I do it, I feel that I feel calm after. Like the whole trip itself is a little shaky because I start getting shaky and like there's weird colorful things happening, but like after an hour of that, I'm chilling on my couch and I feel this calmness. Like all the voices are calm, everybody just had their moment, they're like a roller coaster ride, and then now they're like, all right, let's chill out. I feel it raises my confidence, which is an issue that I deal with too, with like just feeling shitty.
Then you're a lot like me in the way where it's like, like for me, like I never understood when people who associated drug use with partying, or when people would say like, do you party? It's like, no, I never the idea of like something cool happened, let's celebrate by doing drugs and say like, that's never, I've never really operated that way. But like things like whatever drugs, like certain drugs, like when it's like this doesn't seem to where it's like it oddly kind of helps in weird ways that maybe you don't think, you know, sometimes like that's
and it's not for everyone. I'm not saying, I'm not like one of the, I don't, some people, mushrooms will fuck them up, you know, like pretty rough. So that's also bad. I just happened to have found the ones that work for me, I guess.
That's cool. Yeah. Like, no, there was, when we used to go through like, I'll just stop it because I don't want to scare everybody with weird.
You're not scare anybody. What are you talking about?
Yeah, drugs.
Well, I mean, I know that there's an article of yours or of you on Spin that I saw when I was looking for stuff to talk about with you, and I don't like the way it's worded, but you know they go into that about how you were on a specific drug and everything. Like, what was it called? It was with something with an L. I don't remember what it's called.
I honestly don't like. I don't even think I made it through reading that article. When that article came out, and here's what's interesting about that. Like, I agreed to do that thing because the writer guy said that we were going to talk about mental health stuff, right?
Right.
And then he got me in this play. Like, I realized like halfway through that it was like, oh, this guy thinks I'm addicted to like street drugs or something, you know. It's like I remember this
rock star,
right? So it's like there was a part, like when I lived in WeHo, there's a part, I lived across the street from Plumber Park, and we're like walking through the park, and I remember that part where he's like, he asked me, he's like, so like, did you buy drugs here? And I was like, why would I've never, you mean like who buys drugs that's like what, like in a movie or something, like what, like I was like, oh, do you think like, it was like, no, dude, I'm like, I'm crazy. Like, I'm not on drugs, but they're like legal and weird, you know. It's like, anyway, like I thought that was interesting. It's like, dude, no, like I've never, ever fucking bought drugs in the park. It's like, dude, you're smart. You buy drugs from a drug dealer like everybody else, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, I have that drug dealer face. I get a lot of people at shows are like, hey man.
Yeah.
Hey man, do you know where I can? I'm like, why? Because I'm brown and I have a beard. Fuck off.
Yeah. There was a couple other things about that too that like I remember about that art was like I can't read it where it was like shit. Am I gonna end up talking shit? So like Ben from Dillinger kind of like was talking shit about me in that article, and he's like a
Okay.
dude that was we were pretty good friends going back a long way and stuff. I put out a Dillinger record on my label. You know, it was like we toured together a lot. Here's what the untold story is behind that though, and why he was in that Spin article kind of talking. He tried out for Nine Inch Nails before I started playing with them. So like before I started playing in Nails, I already knew Trent um, through Alan Mulder, who my old band had worked with,
I know.
and he knew that he was like I can't remember where he was said something to the effect like, oh yeah, like your band's record, blah blah blah, and it was something to the effect. He was like, dude, I need a guitar player. He's like, I just moved to LA. He's like, can you recommend anybody? I didn't know that. That didn't occur to me. He might have been fishing because there was talk that I might quit my band or whatever. But I was like, dude, I can absolutely help you find a guitar. I was like, you gotta get this guy, this guy, this guy. One of them was Ben from Dillinger, who actually flew out from Jersey I picked him up from the airport. He slept on my couch, and then like drove him to the auditions and shit, you know. And it's like, and then he didn't get the gig, and then like a month or two later or something, after they'd gone through a bunch of other people, is when by that time I had quit my band, so I did it right, and then ever since then, he's been weird, right? Where it was like, dude, like, and here's what made it even weirder was so like. I didn't know at the time, but he didn't tell the guys in Dillinger that he had gone to try out for Nails. So it was basically like he asked me to lie for. He was like, dude, and that was what was hard about it at the time because by then it was like I was better friends with Greg than I was with Ben, you know. So it's like he's like, dude, you gotta promise me not to tell Greg or any of the guys that like I'm trying out for Nails because he was telling me the whole time he was staying with me if I get the Nails gig, then I was like, well, what are you gonna do with Dillinger? He's like, well, it'll be done. You know, it was like, and then when he didn't, I don't know. So then he was in an article saying stuff, dude. He said something to the effect of like, Aaron likes dating models. It's like, dude, I've never dated a model in my fucking. It's like, actually, aren't you the one in the band with the people who dates models and shit? It's like, fuck you, dude. It's like, whatever. It's like, he's, I guess, bitter about not getting the gig or something. Like he was actually like, from what I heard, pretty much laughed out of the room. Whatever. Fuck you, Ben. Anyway.
Oh shit. Oh yeah. Well, look, I've met Ben a couple times. I wouldn't call myself a friend. I've met him a few times at shows.
Oh, we were friends. Dude, here's another thing. Not to cut you. After that, now I remember. I haven't fucking thought about this since this long time. Now I'm gonna go on my rant. It's like, Dillinger was in town, the same town on tour where Nails was. I put them all on the guest list so they could come back and eat all our food and shit. So I got them all his passes, and then Ben and Chris stood there and went on about this is after they'd eaten all our food and all this shit to tell me how much Nails sucked. Now it was like, fuck you, man. You know, it was like anyway, yeah.
Do you think maybe they were roasting, or do you think they were just being dicks?
No, they were like, I was like, dude, I know you, dude. What are you talking? Like, first of all, I don't give a fuck. Second of all, like, what? You know, it's like, basically, yeah, it was like, so Ben was bitter that he didn't get that gig or something, and then he's been addicted to me ever since. You know,
that's a bummer, man. That's a bummer because, you know, the times I met him, he was fine. He was normal. But I had Chris Penny on, and he also had a story with Ben. And I'm just like, well,
right.
I mean, there's certain people that I've met and I associated with that, to me, they were nice, but they were kind of shitty to someone else, you know?
And that's why it was like before that, dude, me and Ben were close, you know? It's like we absolutely like, and toured the world, like our months. We did the tour in Europe together. Our two bands, there were three bands actually, because it was Dillinger, the Icarus Line, and then this band called Shat, which Ben played drums in. And Shat was on my label, and they were we were all in a 2-decker bus for like over 2 months. It was crazy, right? Like, and like it just like some people's egos are, like, it's not my fault that he didn't get that the Nine Inch Nails gig, or like I didn't have anything to do with it. It's like, and whatever. It's like, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I'm sure whatever. I haven't talked to the guy in fucking over a decade or whatever. So
if it's been that long, there's people change also. I'm not defending him right now for you. Again, I barely know him. So
when it's the type of thing, like you say, like if you Google my name though, and this spin article comes up, people read that and it's like, yeah, it's like half truths and things, and it's like, but at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. If people want to think that if it paints me out to look like I'm this dude in a straitjacket who's like addicted to crack and living in the gutter, it's like, I don't care. It's like, right. But what hurt, or what was a bummer, was when people that I thought were my friends, like Ben, just talking shit on me for like what, like, or making stuff up that I was like, dude, what the fuck, like, whatever. All right.
Yeah, so, that's a bummer. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can hash it out in the future. I mean, I've had fights with friends that, I'm fine. Like, let's talk to me. Let's talk. I'm not going to fight you. I have threatened to fight people before though, but over some bullshit. But
I mean, I don't travel in the same circle. I don't go to shows for the most part, or it's like, and it doesn't. There's a reason to, yet that maybe I choose not to really associate with a lot of music people I used to for a reason. It's like, I don't really want to be around. And Ben's not one that's into like drugs or weird shit, but like, I'm just not into that, like whatever the Hollywood bullshit. I don't give a fuck about hanging out with or friends that they think, oh, you're a single dude that lives in LA that's in a rock band. Here, I'm going to hook you up with my friend who's a porno. I don't want to be around porno star, cocaine, fucking bullshit, like jive Hollywood shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross. It always has been gross. And if anyone has ever, anytime Ben say was in LA, that's kind of stuff people I saw him hanging out with. So that's why I kind of stopped. It's like, it just doesn't interest me. It's like, anyway. Yeah. But, well, I'm sure he's fine. More power to him. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move on. So what, for you personally, would you ever go back to music, even if it may, obviously not in those same circles, but like if you were to just focus on making music and putting out an album? I mean, is that something that interests you at all, or are you just want to focus on comedy?
I would never do anything the way I did it before. Like, it's a shame that, like, just the way that my brain works, being a weird bipolar dude, is that like, I get from the age of 13 or 14 till 30, like that's all I did. Or, if I wasn't doing something with a band or practicing in the studio, writing song, that's all I did, and then also putting on shows and stuff too. The idea that you could, like, you didn't have to just push all your chips in on one thing, and you could also, it's like the idea of even that stand up would be, it's like, it just never occurred. It's like, well, I just don't have time, or, because it's like, I do this, that. If I did it, it wouldn't be that all or nothing type of thing. It's like, but it's not. I definitely enjoy it. I still can play. I'm, it's like, but yeah, like, and that's kind of to my detriment. Yeah, it's like because.
I hear you. I hear you with
things too.
No, but no, you with comedy, it has to be that. Like, you can't half-ass it, dude. You cannot half-ass stand-up. You got to be doing 4 sets a night, and putting in the grind or whatever. And the same goes for anything. Like, I have buddies that my buddy Rainen was he was like, hey, I wanna be a pro wrestler and I want to be in a band. I'm like, look, you got to do one first. You got to pick one. Like, if you're gonna be a pro wrestler, then go to the gym every single day and train. Like, don't fuck around.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know why. It's just stand up makes me feel the way. What it's like? Remember, like, the first show you ever had, like, where it was like, dude, you're gonna play a show that's got a flyer and people are gonna be like, you thought about that for weeks. Like, in the day of, you woke up that morning, you were like, dude, I got a show today, and like, you knew it's like, and how excited you were, whether you did, like, that's how stand-up makes me feel now. It's like, and I don't know why, but like, I don't get that feeling with, at least with live music things. So it's like, if I did music, at least the way it is now, which I am. I'm always messing around with music stuff, and not playing live or anything right now. But it's like, yeah, it would be secondary to stand up stuff, just because it's more interesting to me right now, for whatever reason.
And you got to do what's more interesting to you, man.
Yeah.
If you're not, if it's giving you that feeling to do stand up, that's what you got to be focusing on, and not like music. Do it on the side. Like, I should do more music, but now I've chosen to do video games on my day off, because before it was like, oh, let's work on music, but I'm like, I'm not doing music right now. I'm doing the podcast thing right now.
Yeah.
So. I get it completely. But it'd be cool to hear like a solo album later, like in a year or so.
Yeah.
But you got to do what makes you happy, man. Find that thing, and what it is. You feel it. There's a lot of people that don't. There's people that I know personally are like, man, I don't know, I'm just gonna be in the office for the rest of my life. It's like,
yeah.
But that what you want to do? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I'm in an office now, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do that for the rest of my days. Like, that's unless it's my office, and then that's a different story.
Yeah.
So how about comedy, becoming a promoter, and all of that? It usually leads to having like your own company of that sort of thing, like a production company or a promotion company. Is that something that you're gonna do?
I don't think so, because that's another thing too, where it's like, it's like when you start, like when I started playing in bands, and then I ended up doing shows and making such good money, but it's like I had to have that moment then as a teenager where it's like, dude, I didn't start playing music to want to be a show promoter, where it's like, it's like, even though like, but the thing with comedy is a little different, where it's like I do get a satisfaction just from doing a show that's just different than everything else that's going on, right? Like not super different, but just it's just like so there's a satisfaction definitely to a large degree, but like I'm not gonna go down with the ship on that thing. It's like that's not what ultimately what I want to do, but it's like we'll see though,
All right.
I'm just trying to I'm trying not to I'm lucky to be alive, to be honest, and not to get too fucking weird emo tree hugger guy, but like I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to be breathing, it's like and I'm just trying to like not I take things seriously, but not take it too seriously at the same time, and just smell the roses more, and enjoy it for what it is. It's like, because like we were saying, it's just like, even on the lowest levels, which it isn't this way with music too, because I've seen it just being a sound guy recently. The lowest levels of music stuff is miserable. It's miserable, but at least with comedy and stuff, it's like, you can still have peace of mind. It's like, because you can just, when you can just like walk away and then get in your car, it's like, instead of having to like, now I got to load up all this shit and think about it, and then scream at the fucking bass player, the drummer, the whole, whatever it is, that kind of thing. It's like, it's just a little, it's just better for where I'm at, I guess, right now.
Yeah. You got to find what works for you, dude. You got to find what works. Lately for me, I've been the opposite of like, I can't have time off.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to like, and whenever I have a day off, like my weekends, I just record podcasts all day.
Yeah.
So instead of just chilling out and resting and like not worrying about it, I get to work, and like,
that's good. That's great then, dude. Cause that's like, that means, if that gets you out of, that's exactly what you should be doing then. That's great. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, I want that to be the thing. So you knowing that that you want to do comedy now, like, such a fortunate place to be, man.
Yeah.
Because I have lots of friends that wanted to be a singer or wanted to be in a band and like just never did it. Never, spent their whole lives just wishing and dreaming to do something. But cheers to you for finding that aspect of your life and for working on it and having your own show, dude. So how often are these shows happening?
Well, again, the quarantine and the COVID shutdown stuff has affected stuff, and But it'll start getting going again like soon, at least once a month at least. And then I'm gonna do at least probably a couple other shows too. Because that's the other thing too. It's like because just lack, it's just easier thing. So I want to do a show that's I'm looking for a place right now, the perfect place. I kind of had one right before everything shut down, but then everything went out of business. I'm looking for the perfect place to do an LA show that's in town here that isn't, you know, Pomona right now. But as for now, it's like that one will keep going for a while. And that one's going to be from now on in a place that's just in downtown Pomona. The venue, it's a bar. There's a music store next door to it called Noise Bug, and I'm retarded because I can't remember the fucking name of the bar right now. But yeah, it's fun. It's like I said, it's fun just seeing how great, you know, other things are. It's inspiring, and it's like, yeah, like
Well, June 15th is when things open back up. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I know that Grand Central Market in downtown LA. Have you been there? The big like underground marketplace. They're doing comedy shows on the roof.
Yeah.
And those are pretty cool. I heard about the Supernova shows. I've never been, but it sounds fun. They're like outdoors. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. I'm hoping that when everything opens back up, we get some more whenever shows. You know what would be cool just for you? I don't know if you've thought about it. I want to know maybe if you have thought about it, what your thoughts are on like having a thing like a Twitch thing for you where you do musical shit and you do comedy shit and you're interacting with people and things like that. Would that be something that your mind would be interested? Because it kind of melts together the two worlds, right? Music and comedy.
That's weird. Like, like for whatever reason, like with me, like I'm not able to mix those worlds of comedy and music. Like I honestly don't even tell that many stories or things that have to do with music stuff. Like, I don't know, like if I was going to be like a weird well,
I don't want it to be like a Dimitri Martin musical act. I'm just saying like, you know, like Tuesday you'll do an episode of your thing where it's you know, trying out, because that's one thing I saw the other day. There's people making money to sit at home and try out new gear. Like, here's this brand new pedal from whoever, and they're just sitting there like, you know, they plug it in, they just fuck around on stream. And then, you know, and then you can do your comedy separate, like on Wednesday or Thursday, Saturdays. You do you stream your live show, your whenever show. You could just pop up a camera and it'll stream to that Twitch channel. But I mean, it's work. It's a lot of work. But I've been trying to figure out ways to adapt to this new media, because we have this opportunity, man. This is a very powerful tool to just do your own thing.
Absolutely.
And people need to figure out how to use it without, you know, giving into the sponsorships, like the big corporate, you know, hey, I'm brought to you by Modelo.
Absolutely.
Modelo Especial.
I don't think people realize how like even with like podcast things and stuff, it's kind of like within YouTube and stuff where it's just like you can basically just create, you can start your own anything, right? Just like, I mean, as it's been for a while, but it's just like, it's
easier now.
It's reaching this apex where it's really interesting, just for all, whether it's stand up, you know, people with YouTube like channels and all this kind of shit, where it's like you really can do anything, and if it's good, people will see it. You know, it's like
absolutely.
It's cool. I think it's really cool. So
cool, man. Well, hey, we're at an hour and a half almost, which is one of the longest episodes we've done. We usually do like 45 minutes to an hour. So
fucking chop it up, dude. Just when you.
No, I'm not gonna chop anything out. I'm not chopping anything out. Fuck that. But thank you for, you know, sitting with me and talking for an hour and a half. That's awesome. You know, big fan of what you've done. Super influential. I mean, even when you joined Nails, I've been a Nine Inch Nails fan since that was my first purchase of music. It was Pretty Hate Machine on cassette. And
wow.
because I was a little kid, I grew up super Catholic and strict, and I couldn't listen to music. And then like I went the second that I left that, like I left the private school because I got kicked out and all this shit. First thing I did was go to the record store and I bought Pretty Hate Machine on tape. So I've been a fan since I was little. And when you joined the band, I remember just thinking like, wow, what incredible energy this adds. You know what I mean? It's insane.
You're in the minority. Like, yeah, I don't think. I don't.
Nah.
My interaction with Nails fans was always strange. You know, like. But it's
yeah, people that get, people get attached to who was there before or whatever it may be. Like for me, I get it. I've seen it in many other bands where, there's members come in and out. But your time there, like you were part of the DVD that, I watched that fucking DVD a million times. Every time somebody would come over, I'd be like, hey guys, you see this? And I just put it on and we'd just, chill and watch it.
And from where I was coming from on that stuff too, where it's like that band, dude, and Jerome was great as drum too, but like, yeah, I guess that DVD, I think it's like Josh and Jordy, like where it's just like you're playing with people like
legends.
And it was we would do crazy shit. That's the only time where it's like it would be like 2 hours before sound check, and it would be like, hey, let's try to play this song at sound check that none of us have even heard before or whatever. And then like that, like, and you would show up and Josh I don't think I ever saw Josh make one mistake. It was like he would play something that he heard like an hour earlier for the first time, start to finish, and not fuck up. It's like, and we could all, just to be where it's like, yeah, I was like over my head. It's like when you're surrounded by people who are that talented, it's like, yeah, it brings the best out of you, and it's like, it's fun, and then you get kind of spoiled too in a way where it's like, it was that way in the Icarus line too, where you get used to playing with the very best drummers in the world and the very best, it's like, so anything less, it kind of.
I hear you. I'm the same way, man. And I also believe in that. It's an old Cuban saying. I've said it here before, but tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. And if you're in that circle of the best in the world, then guess what, buddy? You're one of the best in the world. That's just what it is. Like I hate, and it's something that I loved, that like I said, your time there was great for me. And, thank you for coming on here and talking to me for a while.
Thank you. Thanks, man. And man, I hope that I'll see you around and stuff, and good luck with what happens with your show and stuff.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely run into each other in the scene, and we now when everything's open up again, I'm start going out again. I haven't been going out obviously for obvious reasons, but now that things are open, I'm going to be out and about and making shit happen, live shows. There's other things I'm doing too, but yeah, we'll definitely run into each other.
Cool,
and once that show at the store happens, if you're wanting to come hang and do the show, we're going to have guests. So
absolutely, man. That's great. Yeah,
all right,
cool, man.
Everybody that's listening and watching, Aaron North is on Instagram at generic_prescriptions.
Yeah.
Is that the best way to follow you around? Is that your number one social?
Sure. Yeah.
You don't have a TikTok? You should have a TikTok.
I don't have TikTok. Like, I think I have Twitter, but I don't ever go on it or whatever.
Twitter, I suck at Twitter, man. I can't. My numbers are shot in Twitter. But yeah, Instagram then. So that's the best option.
Yeah.
Also, if you're listening and watching this, go check out our buddies, Art and Jacob Do America. They did an episode with you.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple episodes, right? They got a couple episodes with you.
Yeah, one of them we talked Metallica, and that pisses a lot of people off. Yeah,
and Justice for All with Aaron North. I see it here, episode 210. Yeah. And they are my brothers from the Podbelly Network, our network here. So yeah, go check that out, guys. It's really fun.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot, man.
And we'll be in touch.
Have a good day, and don't be a stranger, man.
I won't be. We'll be friends now.
Right on, man.
Later, brother.
Take it easy.